Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. I am glad to have you here. Today, I'm making a video about 5 reasons why I decided to move to Portugal. Part 1, because there's going to be many parts, because there's a lot of reasons why my husband and I decided to move our family from California in the United States to Portugal. This video has been requested since I moved here 3 months ago, and I'm excited to finally open up about my life here. I've been really hesitant to talk about my life here because I don't want to sound braggy. And when I left the US 3 months ago, things were already really difficult post-pandemic. It wasn't even post-pandemic, still in the pandemic. I'm making this video as of June 2nd. So I didn't want to be like, look how amazing my life is, because I know that there's people on social media that will be happy to tear me down for having a better life now. But as it turns out, there's always people who are going to tear you down. So I decided if I can inspire one person to go after what they want in life, this video is worth making. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do here today. And if you could do me a favor and like this video, if you like the content, and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. It really supports the work that I do here. All right. So the first reason why my husband and I decided to move to Portugal is safety. And as we all know, the last few weeks, there have been 2 mass shootings, one in Buffalo, New York, and one in Texas. And of course, that doesn't include all the other shootings that happen that do not make the news cycle. And of course, I don't have the words because there really are none. It's horrendous and horrific. Shootings have always been something that has been on my mind and made me feel scared to be in America. But it was actually in 2020 or maybe 2021 when a little boy from the city I lived in, 5-year-old boy, was on his way to school. His mom was driving him to school, and a stray bullet went through the back of the car and killed him. And this happened 15 minutes away from where I live, on a freeway that I drove on almost every day. And this is because 2 maniacs were shooting at each other on the freeway. They were eventually caught and put in prison. And for a good 2 weeks, because the police did not immediately find the murderers, for 2 weeks, there were banners that restaurants and businesses all over the community were hanging up saying, do you know where these people are? With pictures of the murderers, or do you know where the killers are of this boy who lived where I used to live in Orange County? You know how we all read terrible news, maybe it becomes seared into our brain because of social media? This was different. This was in a community where I lived. This was seeing signs and pictures of this boy's face every day. And I have a 5-year-old. And I started to feel my anxiety rising the older my son got. And I couldn't place why. And then I realized it was because I am extremely scared that my son will be next, that he will be the next tragedy that will be on the news. His face will be on a banner, and then the world will move on without any real changes to the laws that perpetuate this problem. That made gun violence, I already cared a lot about it, and I support major reform when it comes to guns. And if you have a problem with that, go find another video. But then it became so close to home. And this is just one example of several that I could go into. I know we all have experiences of gun violence becoming so close to home, but that really, really did it for me. And I started to look up ways to get out of the country and just to play with the idea. It didn't seem possible. For a long time, it didn't seem possible. I remember one time I was really close and I thought, oh, this is not going to work. The rules just don't work. And then I decided to actually figure things out and get serious. But that's one aspect. And then there's the racism aspect. After Biden became elected, I became extremely scared for my well-being. There were a ton of Let's Go Brandon flags on people's houses, which, means F you, Joe Biden. It's code for F you, Joe Biden, if you don't know that. And I just felt like people had a weird energy around me. There were very few Black people in the neighborhood I lived in Orange County. Orange County is highly conservative, highly white. There are a lot of Hispanic and Black people in Orange County, but there is a major divide in terms of where they live. And I lived in the very white part because that was the closest location to my husband's job. So I just started to feel more and more unsafe. There was actually one time where a woman literally stuck her tongue out at me. And a lot of people had just like stickers on their cars that was like, F you, Joe Biden, and all this stuff. And I just felt like if you looked like you might be liberal because you're a person of color, which by the way, I am liberal and I'm totally fine with it. And does that mean I agree with everything in the agenda? No. So please don't try to shove me in a box. But yeah, I just started to feel more and more unsafe. And then I was at a playground one day with my kids and a 7-year-old called me the N-word. She literally was like, hi, N-word. I could go on. Like, I went to the hospital one time and a nurse, there's just so many microaggressions. I'm not even gonna go into that. Racism, okay? I learned that Portugal is the 4th safest country in the world. It ranks the 4th safest on the Global Peace Index. They don't seem to have a problem with lethal racism the way that we have here or in America. There's racism for sure. I'm in Europe, surrounded by a lot of white people. But I do feel like diversity is not as hard to come by. My husband is white and we are a multiracial family. And I remember using the term, I'm in a multiracial relationship or I'm in a biracial relationship. And people here were confused. It's not a term that people use that often, at least not here. People were like, they don't have a name for it because it's just normal. Because in Europe, there's just so many different people and there's so many people, originally from Africa who came here a long time ago and identify as French. They identify as Italian. They identify as Portuguese. There's people from Angola and Africa who, Angola was colonized by Portugal, who speak Portuguese and are Portuguese. So I feel like the melting pot is truer almost out here. I know people define the US as a melting pot. I didn't feel that way when I moved from Guam to the US. I'm originally from Guam, by the way. I was born and raised there. Anyway, so it's just little things like that where it's just like, I don't have to be a label. I can just be me. And, my husband and I aren't this anomaly being a white and black couple. Like, it's just normal. I went to a birthday party actually when I first got here. I met somebody at a co-working space. His son was having a birthday party. We went. Almost every couple in that room was a multiracial couple. Like, it was crazy. I've never been around that many multiracial couples in my life. So that's reason number one. Portugal ranks super high for safety, and the US has a serious safety issue and a serious lethal racism issue where people are still being lynched, and it is insane. So that's number one. Number two is healthcare. Portugal ranks 22 out of 89 countries when it comes to high quality healthcare. And the US ranks 30th. And my daughter and I both had to go to the ER since being here. We've been here for 3 months and I already had to do 2 ER trips. We're totally okay. It was just like, we just had to go there to get some help, get checked out. But I have spent, with no insurance, I have travel insurance, but it was kind of like a get reimbursed later, but pay up front thing. Out of pocket, I paid $220 for both ER visits. That included medication, doctor's evaluations, x-rays, like the whole thing. $220, just gave them my card, paid for it. That's it. That's all I owe. My son had a 15-minute procedure last year in America that was in office, and I'm gonna be paying that off for the rest of this year. And I started paying for it in March for a 15-minute procedure. But I go to the ER, my daughter goes to the ER, and it cost us less than, it cost us $220. So also I went, I'm just like, whoa, it's still even a lot for me to process. And I'm on medication for my mental health. And I went to go pick it up and I was really worried about how much it would be because I'm on 4 different things right now. I'm really grateful, by the way. Get your mental health checked out. I was worried it was gonna cost a lot. I was literally sweating when I went into the pharmacy because I was worried about how much it would cost. And in total, it all cost me less than 40 euros, which is about $45 US. So the medication has also been really affordable. I also established care with a new psychiatrist here. When I established care with a psychiatrist in the US, it cost $275 for the first visit. Here, it cost me $100 for the first visit. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the affordability. In terms of quality, the doctors, nurses, and staff at these hospitals that I've gone to have been so kind, so nice. The doctor literally came and visited me, checked on me twice in the ER. And he was just like, how are you doing? Are you okay? And he was explaining to me what was going on. And he was so kind and he just listened. And I'm not going to go into detail, but that has not been my experience navigating healthcare in the US. I usually have to fight for the attention of the doctor and usually have to beg them to believe me. And that was not the case here. They asked me what was going on. I told them, they treated me, they checked on me, they made sure I was okay before I left. It was amazing. Same thing with my daughter's experience. I literally almost wanted to ask one of the nurses and say, like, how often do you guys get like time off? And do you, how long are your shifts? Like, I was so curious because the vibe of the staff was so positive and upbeat. And I just have not seen that. I think the pandemic really wore down our healthcare staff in the US, and they're just not, they've just been worn down, and it shows in the way that they treat patients. But yeah, that's healthcare for you. And then the third reason is low cost of living. And I know this is relative, but to give you an idea, I was spending about $6,000 at the lowest in California for cost of living. And I'm not an extravagant person. I'm pretty moderate when it comes to my spending, but here a family of 4 can easily get by on 3,000 euros a month. You know, honestly, it's about 3,000 US because I was calculating this in US. So a family of 4 can get by on $3,000 a month. And that's if your kids go to public school. If your kids go to private school, the more affordable private school options I've seen, you're going to tack about an extra $1,000 onto your bill. So $4,000 a month for a family of 4. I think that's pretty good, especially since I was spending $6,000 and $7,000 a month in California. And yes, I lived in California and it's more expensive there. But when you're a person of color, you also want to try to live in a state that's more diverse and you're less likely to get shot on the street. So there are a lot of factors that go into why people choose to live where they live. And low cost of living was something I heard about in Portugal, and it definitely is true. My apartment in California costs $2,500 a month. That includes utilities and internet. And my view was other neighbors' apartments, and we didn't get a lot of natural light, which really affected my mental health. I grew up on Guam with tons of sun and tons of heat and warmth, and I need that. Which is one of the things I love about Portugal. I live in a townhome here, and it has a private entrance and a private sunroof. So I'm able to get sunlight every single day. There's also tons of glass doors in my townhome. I'm facing one right now. So there's tons of natural light that come in through those glass doors at all times. I only pay 1,300 euros a month, which is like $1,350 US per month. So $2,500 in California versus $1,300 or $1,350 here. Huge difference. And I have a huge view on the sunroof of the Atlantic Ocean. Like, as far as the eye can see, I can see the sky touching the ocean and the beautiful southern coast of Portugal, like, is my view. And I'm so eternally grateful. And that's been so good for my mental health, because now I have a space every morning where when my kids are like being them in the morning and I am trying to get grounded because I live with PTSD. So I wake up pretty like on the wrong side of the bed, and I go upstairs and I do yoga and meditation for 15 minutes in the sun. And I just feel like I'm slowly healing. I'm slowly healing just from having that space, the right kind of space that I need to heal and take care of myself. So I'm super grateful for that. But hopefully that can give you an idea of cost of living. $3,000 a month for a family of 4. It just is amazing. And I'm just not having to work as hard as I did in the US in order to make ends meet. And so my husband and I, because we have extra time and we're not as financially stressed, we now have one-on-one days with our kids. So we each take turns and each take one kid on Wednesdays, and we have one-on-one time with them. And that has been amazing to just have dedicated time with my kid and get an ice cream and do an activity they want to do and not feel like I need to be at my desk grinding and hustling all the time. So those are some of the ways that the low cost of living has improved our quality of life and given us more time and space to be a family and enjoy our kids. So that's been really amazing. The fourth reason why we moved is because this place is family friendly. And I did hear this before I got here, but I wanted to see for myself, and it has been completely true. The moment we touched down in the Portugal airport and we got into the airport, you're supposed to go through a customs line, which was insanely long. And after a whole day of traveling, I was exhausted. And there was a separate line, and the person, security, whatever they were, airport employee, waved at us to come down to the line to the section with no line. And I was like, why do they do that? And they're like, oh, you have a kid, so you have a little kid, so you get to skip the line because you're a mom and you have kids. I was like, what? I get to skip the line and I don't have to sit here for 2 hours with screaming children like I always had to do in the US. And then I saw that there's a sign, and I'll put a picture up of the sign, and it says reservado, and it means it's reserved for people who are disabled, who are pregnant, who have small kids, and who are elderly. That was my first exposure, and I was like, whoa. And then when we were going through the airport, we didn't have a stroller, and our daughter was so tired, but our hands were full because we had all of our luggage now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really wish we had a stroller. And guess what? They had a whole section full of strollers, and the sign says, please take this stroller. It's completely free to use in the airport. It's here for you to use. And we were able to put our daughter in the stroller and hang a bunch of bags on the back of the stroller and push that. And that stroller seriously saved my life. I'll put a picture of her in the stroller sleeping while we waited for our Uber. But yeah, like having a stroller, being thoughtful about parents and parents' experiences and parents' needs. I felt so seen from that stroller. I almost cried. Another example is every time we've been in the metro or on a train, people have literally gotten up and offered their seat to me. Like, please sit here. You know, you have a kid, sit down, take my seat. Multiple times this happened because people didn't want me to stand up, you know, with my kid, holding my kid or whatever. Like, just like people being aware and giving a crap about you. I'm sorry, but just, it's crazy how much we've been conditioned in the US to just accept being made to feel invisible and like our needs don't matter, especially as parents when we're the ones raising the next generation. But that's a whole nother video for another day. I could rant on that. But that has happened. And then I had a horrible Airbnb experience. We had to like vacate this Airbnb super quickly. So I was in this Airbnb with, I was in this Uber when we were vacating, right? With all of our stuff. My daughter had a stomach bug and she was about to throw up. So picture me, I'm in the front seat of this Airbnb. It's chock full of our luggage. I'm turning this way, holding a container under her chin as she sits in her car seat to catch her vomit because I'm so scared that she's going to throw up in this Uber and I'm going to have to pay for this Uber to get cleaned. The guy asked, the driver's like, oh, is she okay? I'm like, she's going to throw up. And I was like, don't worry. She's not going to throw up in your car. I'm going to make sure to catch her with this container. And I was already like, you know, like, is he going to get mad at me? And he was like, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. You know, you focus on her. Take care of her. It's okay. Don't worry about the car. Don't worry. And then when we were almost to my new destination, my new Airbnb, he was like, when we get there, don't worry about unloading any of your stuff. I've got it. You just focus on the kids, take care of the kids. And when I almost cried. I've never, ever had anyone in the US do that for me. And when we arrived, he unloaded all of our stuff. And I was trying to help him. He's like, no, stay with the kids, stay with the kids. She's sick, take care of her, take care of her. Y'all. So yes, it is family friendly here. And I feel like there is a respect for mothers that I have never experienced in the United States. The last reason I'm going to share today is the quality of the food. And the food here is amazing. And I was first exposed to this when we went to a market where they had a bunch of food out and like produce out. And I could smell the strawberries from like over 2 feet away. And I'm like, am I seriously smelling the scent, the aroma, the fragrance of strawberries right now? Yes, I was. The strawberries had a lovely fragrance to them, as did the nectarines, the plums, the apples. I had a melon, like a certain type of melon. It tasted like a honeydew, and it tasted like a melon, and it was sweet, and it was delicious, and it wasn't like dry or picked too soon. It was perfect. And I can't tell you the last time I had a honeydew that tasted like a honeydew. Like, the food here has been amazing. One downside is that because things are so fresh and they don't use as many preservatives as we use in the US, food spoils much faster here. I mean, much faster, especially meat. So we've been learning that the hard way, but it's totally worth the midweek grocery trip, you know, because you can't buy as much food in advance, right, to last you the whole week, like going to Costco and getting a ton of stuff, right? You have to kind of buy for a few days and then go back to store and buy for another few days. But that's not a big deal because you're not grinding at your laptop for 16 hours a day. You can work and go shopping and it's not a big deal. So honestly, I feel like it's a welcome break for me when I'm working and I know I need to go to the store down the street to pick up a few things and I get to go for a walk because I don't have a car here. And another reason why I think the food is so amazing is because Portugal actually, a lot of the additives, the food additives that are legal in the US are illegal here. So a ton of things that I think affect food's taste are just not allowed here. And it shows, it definitely shows in the food. So those are the 5 reasons why my family and I moved to Portugal. There are definitely more. This was just part 1. If you have not subscribed yet, I just want to remind you to do that and hit the thumbs up button if you found this video helpful. And the last thing I wanted to mention is I have started booking Ask Me Anything chats. So if you're interested in talking about your personal situation, asking me more about the healthcare system, or how I found a psychiatrist, or how I found an apartment, or what area I live in, because I've lived in Lisbon and now I live in the Algarve region, which is the south of Portugal. If you have any questions, you can book an Ask Me Anything About Portugal chat. It's for 50 minutes, so it's almost a whole hour, and I'll leave a link down below for you to check that out. I definitely recommend booking soon if you are interested though, because the prices are going up in July and I have to make sure I keep my availability balanced with all the other things I'm doing. But yeah, if you're interested, I will leave that link down there for you to check out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Exciting news. I have a brand new ebook called The 25 Things You Should Know Before You Move to Portugal. So if you are interested, go ahead and grab it. It's only $10 at the special launch price. I cover 10 topics all the way from food to safety, healthcare, and a variety of others. And in this ebook, there are 2 bonus checklists you're also going to want to get. So go to the link in my description to get that now if you're interested before the price goes up next week.